We know you, Mayo. We know. We know. It's all good. Also, everybody's gonna have to come up with a community game, or community's gonna have to come up with a game for us to play a co-op game.
Yes.
We're gonna be buying a new game soon, babe.
We will.
No, the server's down. It's updating. It's fine.
Oh, there's an update for Palworld?
No, the server's updating because it always does that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think before they added the red pen, people just use red notes, and it's still a little bit kind of. Yeah, that makes.
Mm-hmm. The downside about there being a red pen is now there's no fill option, but it works.
Yeah, they removed the fill, but it's the simple animations that are really fun. Never a fill option with animation.
Oh, really?
I'm really curious what
Oh yeah, that one was really fun.
Animation artist.
So, Exquisite Corpse and Compliment then.
Yeah.
I loved the Exquisite Corpse. That was so much fun. I love seeing the derpy stuff that comes out.
I had to make a Twitter post as soon as I saw my.
The only thing is like, I just hate my legs. And by my legs, I mean like, I hate drawing legs for that game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, babe, the game is up. I am going to turn off my preview for OBS.
I think the big reason they don't want the fill bucket is they just want people making a solid animation rather than worrying about a complete picture. Because they've got a background mode,
Maybe.
which I think put an animation in, and then you draw the background for each frame.
Sometimes people spend a lot of time trying to fill shit in.
Yeah, especially when you start getting into like the really detailed. Yeah, there is a whole mode for that though, which is probably what they're intended that to be dedicated to.
You can also change the time on it.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see. If we're gonna do this, I want the whale. I want Boom. Who's gonna be my whale party?
You must bring a dynamo.
I will bring that chonky fuck. Not only am I going to bring that chonky fuck.
I believe you've explained an impact frame before. It's just like a frame not
I'm bringing this chunky.
relating to what's going on. That's there for impact. I don't know. I don't remember. Feel free to explain it again. Do you like my finished roof? Not the work in progress I had before?
I haven't seen it. As I have been at this house. At my house.
Okay, that's fair. I go to look at my hands, my hands. Where did you go?
Behind me, I saw a minute ago. How many more do I need? I would need a whole 24? No, I'm good. Okay. There. Now this is my primary one. And it's level 72, which is awesome. That bird, I love him. Fly, fly.
Oh, okay. You see the lot. Yes. I've seen quite a few impact frames. Yeah. That meme is hilarious, Aiko. Meme?
Meme. Made a meme. What meme did I make? Oh, oh yeah. Fly, you fat fuck! Fly!
Love. Mr. Dynamo. Specifically for that, I gave Aiko the chubbiest chicken I could.
Ooh.
The life depend on you.
Fly.
Yeah, Dynamo would actually be really good for damage as well.
I know. I brought the dynamo off the last time we fought the whale.
He did?
Yeah. I just couldn't fly him because it was derping out and I couldn't fly anything.
Oh yeah, you couldn't hop on any creatures and like you could barely even move properly.
Yeah, it was weird. Okay, so I've got the dynamo off. That's going to be good for fighting. I've got Reem as a
Heads up,
backup.
Ellie,
Celine's going to be main flyer
Ooh,
if I can. Gemini can be swapped out for who?
let me okay, sort out things.
Water is not good for water. Electric is just good against it, right? I feel like I'd open up Pen King Lux then, I guess.
Thank you, Nikki.
Come, Pen King Lux. Look at him. He looks fucking prepared for war.
Currently stuck on the last tower boss. Pull the one on the
Ah,
left
she
side.
was fun.
She was if we weren't level
80,
80,
yeah. She probably would have kicked our ass for sure.
I'm excited to do all the dragon lady. Yeah, I'm excited to do all of them in hard mode.
Mm-hmm. It was very her fight was interesting because I wasn't expecting all the water. I almost drowned. Celine died. Like I'm level 80, we're all level 80. Celine died. Otherwise known to you as Moon Bitch. Moon Bitch died. Oh yeah. Yeah, well we had our server we were trying to lower it to level the correct level, but we accidentally
It was accidentally still 3 times XP for a while.
yeah.
You will always be player level ahead of your pals because there's no like oh oh
What?
Nikki threw stuff at me and
Oh.
I see that one of the keys that's on decides to open up my inventory.
Gotta love that.
What are the keys to open up inventory in this game? Because I thought it was just tab.
Control Alt. I have had love thrown at me. Thank you, thank you.
That's not control or alt. Roll. No?
B. B is roll. No, never mind. I'm on controller. What am I talking about? Your armor's
What
not
do I
great.
have my third one?
Is it the letter I?
It could have been I.
I for me is something.
Big head mode. Oh my god, I'm a chibi. Why am I so
Oh, you
small?
want to see my weapon, Mayo? Oh. Look at my weapon.
Oh, weird. I float on the chair when chibi mode activates. Let me see what.
I just like showing off my weapon because it's perfect and beautiful. I didn't have to grind for it. Just saying, I'm never ever going to have that again. You're now out of channel points. No! How are you gonna... You should have saved up 5,000 points so you could do egg roulette.
Oh, shift E.
Yeah, you haven't done egg roulette, have you? Yeah, no. The mechanical bow is the best.
Is E, okay.
Is it P? Steady.
Yeah, making sure to keep up with like armor and weapon is. Weapon's less important because you can rely on your pals, but armor is definitely.
Would you like to see the armor we're wearing? I think we're prepared for this. Watch us lose. I'm gonna cry.
I think I've got my party. You're out of points in my channel. You still using the meow meow? Oh, I think I've still got that as my melee weapon.
I have it as my secondary melee weapon. My first melee weapon's this one.
It's a cute weapon.
And then there's this. They've been waiting for you. I don't know if you're aware.
Hmm?
I've been waiting for you. Just not sure if you're aware that I've been actively waiting for you.
Oh, you're waiting where for the fight?
Okay, well, hold on a moment. I actually can't. I have to go back to my house now. Yeah, go. I was we were gonna fight the whale, but now I'm gonna take a break. You wanna be a dragon egg? Hammer is just so fast, even if the damage is low, I can just swing it so fast. Yeah, it is really fast. We just don't really use the Terraria weapons. I have that on there because like we kept doing the battles and it just kept sticking itself in my thing, so I just left it there. But I don't use it really. It's not even that great, anyways, in my opinion. But we just don't really feel right using the Terraria weapons.
Yeah,
It feels incredibly.
they're literally end-game weapons you can get at mid-game. They're way too strong for how early you can get them.
Okay, chest 1 or chest 2, Nikki? I will say, if you choose chest 2, these two are side by side, which leads me to believe I probably picked up one with a grin tail. One? Okay. In that case, would you like row 3 or row 5? And these two right here, again, likely picked up by a grin tail.
Melee is so bad in this game. Like, early game, it's okay. Any further than early game, it is
Ah, cool.
just bad. Purely bad.
This is Nikki. Let's see what Nikki is. We're going to stare at it until Nikki is born.
Have you gotten all the fragment pieces?
What?
Have you made the flutes and the summon
Yeah.
temple? Okay, cool. While you wait for that, I'll go get all the fragments I'm missing.
Okay.
I haven't gotten any of them.
I'm going to stare at this for the next 8 minutes and 50 seconds. You love melee too much, Dakota? I think that's fair. My aim is usually terrible, but like because I'm on controller, I've got aim assist, and it's nice. It's nice most of the time. The times that it's not nice is when something runs past me while I'm trying to kill things.
General consensus I've seen on people's opinions of the melee system is they need to rework it.
Look,
The powers that buff melee stuff don't buff it nearly enough to actually even keep up with basic stuff.
look at this. Look at this. Okay, you see this boss, Lylene? Did I just one-shot her? I one-shot her.
Yeah,
3 shots for that.
you can do that. You generally whacking things with a sword is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love melee.
It takes me a lot longer to kill with sword, though. Oh, I said, and then one shot. You know what? Maybe I'm just strong. Did you ever stop to think about that? Also, my sword is epic.
It could be that you're strong. No thoughts hit with sword or that's my favorite playstyle on top.
But like, look. I mean, yeah, the same with hammer for me, typically. The only thing is, like, I've got boom right here. Boom says while in party, the player's arrows explode on contact, dealing an additional damage equal to 30% of the player's attack damage. And I can't I kind of have to.
Well, rip Clementine.
Also, like a lot of the times I'm doing melee things, I will struggle because some pals just fucking run away from me. And I'll be like, come back, come back.
Yeah, if you're trying to catch a pal, so many of them are so quick.
Roll twisting my arrows. What is the intended target? Bruh, get aim assist on, and you are going to use controller, use some aim assist. It'd be hard for you not to hit the intended target. I am shit
Has to
at
hit
aiming.
near the area.
You're like, no, I would never. Rah 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 rah. She says. I'm just saying if you want to. Look, I am absolutely pro melee. The only thing is, my problem is not nearly enough games have hammers. This would be an awesome game with a hammer. I'm a hammer girly. This game is a hammer.
Yeah, hammers are just sadly left out of so many.
This game has a katana. That was the tone of voice I wanted for that message. Thank you for knowing what I meant. I know. Of course. So, it's like I know you or whatever. It's like I know you or something bad. Okay? For gameplay, I stay winning. I like the hammer. Hammer makes happy. Because I like go bonk. I like go bonk.
I like a big number.
I wonder if, I know, it's almost like we're friends or something. Baka. It does. That's why I got the, like, did you see my, hold on, let me see.
See this smash bar? Show it. Show it.
I'm gonna show it as soon as I find it. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. That's me and Rexy eating pineapple pizza. Did I switch it?
Maybe.
Wait, I know I put one up here that was specific to the Smash Bros, yeah? Oh, it really big. Hold on, let me shrink it. There you go. See?
I don't think I've heard anything other than
Look
the
how
weird
badass
elbow
I am.
before.
I'm so cool. With hammer. Sorry for the white blindingness. My bad. Jesse, welcome back.
Welcome back, Jesse.
I'm glad you're done. I'm sorry you had to do all of that. Do the brand new thing. Give
Our
it to me,
condolences for his
baby.
responsibility.
Give it to me, baby.
And the
You're
chicken
dead
nugget.
now. Well, you know what you can do right now, Jesse? Nothing.
Please do nothing.
Do nothing.
You deserve to do nothing.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got it on some merch. Which I will buy. Well, I know I have some merch. It's on my table.
Yeah, we have deathmatch. I tend to like spear weapons if they are an option long range class. I love spear weapons too, but so many games don't do spears well. This game does spears awfully.
He likes yelling at me.
Like, not only are the spears just poke. That's all you do with a spear in this game. It's poke. It's slow.
Is it slow?
It is slow. It's just a poke, and it does not do much damage.
Does it not do bleed?
The spear in this game, no, it
Oh.
does not. It tickles.
Pierces those who neglect their pals.
That's just flavor text. That has that like it says it does more damage to those who neglect their pals. It doesn't. The spear in this game is just. Hang on, I'll go get the spear and show you how bad this spear is in this
It says
game.
it does 1200 damage.
Mhm. It does say it does 1200 damage, but you can only get it with arena ticket.
Oh, gross.
I think.
Oh.
Maybe bounty tokens. Might be bounty tokens.
I don't know. Oh wait, shit! I gotta go check on Nikki. Nikki, you're alive. What are you? I don't know. There's a bushy over there. I need to watch out for that. Okay, sorry.
I have never played Breath of the Wild, but I played
Nikki, are you there?
Genshin.
Nikki, you there? You need to make sure you're here. Nikki is. Wait. No, he's coming close. Hold on. Getting too close. Okay, I'm going back. I just want to make sure you were there before I got your pal. But also there was a threatening bushy. What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Oh, interesting.
What is this? What is Nikki?
Clearly, I had a dragon egg in my pocket at one point in time and thought, hey, this must be a random dragon egg I picked up at some point.
Oh? What was it? What'd you get? Is it Megatron?
It's a place above you.
Oh!
All right.
Nikki, you're a boss.
I thought that was a random one. I looked in my pocket. I was like, oh, look, random dragon egg in my pocket. I must have picked this up at some point and put it in my storage.
I can't exist in bases without just 0 friends.
Let's see. Oh, you can go mining or, you know, get something. I mean, okay, look, you're service-minded and you're shabby and you got mercy hit. So you're not going to kill anybody. And you're waterproof? Nice. You are the most amusing. You know, I could probably take him to war. Maybe. I mean, he's waterproof, right? Where is he? Where's Nikki?
You are anti-shower, and I love it.
Hold on. I need to find him. Where'd he go? Nikki, come back.
Nikki, come back.
What the fuck is that? Oh, I forgot that I caught her nap Delias. Nikki is here. Here we go. Nikki. Let's check your stats out. Oh, wait, we haven't got the glasses on. We need to see if he's good. We need to see if he's good. Are you a good Blazing Ryu? You could be the most amazing.
And
just with really weird passives. Yeah, that put me to work right away. Oh, well, you're not a warrior. You're not a
We
warrior.
are on a new world, aren't we? Since Mayo got Leaf Panda, so aren't we?
Okay, look, here's the thing. We have a situation, okay? We are on a new world. So your option is we can get you a new pal. However, in doing that, we then have to destroy your old pal.
Yes. Everyone's got an option to reroll. It's not like a person specific. It's like if you've
No. It's completely fair. Everybody has that option. Everybody has that option. If you want to, if you're like, I hate my pal, even if it's not a new world, and you're like, I hate my pal, I will spend another 5,000. You have to spend another 5,000. You can't just.
Yeah.
But then your current pal gets destroyed. You can only have one.
Yeah, there can only be one Mayo. Like Jesse.
So if you don't like it, I could take care of this problem. It won't. Oh, it won't right now because Nikki's done his. So it's got a 3-hour cooldown. I like my pal, but I wish I was stronger to help y'all more. Oh, no, you're great. Like literally, Lucy, you are like exactly the pal that you should be.
In 3 hours, that panda is dead.
Oh.
The panda's got a time limit.
Well, you've done me good, Mayo. She was like, in the beginning, she was like my go-to. I used her to fight everything. And I used her to breed a lot of things too. So
Thank you for your service.
thank you for your service. I did. I told her that in the Discord. I said, thank you for your service. She's like, you're welcome. I guess. All right, let's see. I don't want to destroy you yet because I feel like if I do that, there's a chance that you might just like leave and not come back. And I'll be like, no, I don't have a Mayo. I need the panda Mayo. So you'll feel the need to be like, oh, I gotta go get rid of that thing.
There is one good thing about the spear in this game. It can function as a pickaxe and an axe. That's the one good thing about the spear in this game.
Well, the bow can too.
And technically, everything can if it does damage.
Yep.
Um, just the dedicated tools are better for it.
All right, I need to figure out. Okay, let's go level up Nikki really quick. Okay. Maybe I'll make him into a warrior. He's waterproof after all. He can withstand the whale.
I don't mind sitting in the breeding area waiting for an egg to show up.
What is the dude doing?
I like how that's
Whatever.
manageable.
As long as I get tasty cake, I don't mind sitting in the breeding area waiting for it to show up. Yeah, yeah. This, like, I feel like this Lylene's broken. Because this Lylene shows up, like, constantly. It's, like, always here. Even if I kill it, 5 minutes later, it's back.
Yeah, it's supposed to take half an hour to respawn.
The Lylene does not take half an hour to respawn.
If you want, you can also go and kill the dual itself. That would give a good amount of XP.
Alright. He learned Flame Wall.
Okay, I did get the video. Aiko, I want cake.
God.
Maya wants cake.
You want cake?
In real life? Or nothing else? Stuck in the slide. No escape for him.
Your pal has aura, and I feel that it's better in its non-alpha version because being the size feels more funny. I can't even imagine, like, what an alpha version of your pal would look like. I'm fucking drowning. I'm sorry, Nikki. My bad. It's okay. You're waterproof. Come on, it's okay. You're waterproof. You can swim. Look, if I bring you to this fight to fight against a whale, you're gonna have to get your shit together.
It's gonna have to not be one shot.
Look, look, look. Figure it out. Figure it out, Nikki. You're waterproof. If you ever reroll, I'll give him a proper funeral.
Oh my god, that's gonna be... Laser Mark Ryu is gonna be an interesting reroll if you ever feel like it.
Yeah. Like, nobody else is gonna have a fucking Blazemite Ryu because I was never supposed to have that in that chest.
I wonder how that egg got in there. Was that supposed to be the egg that I was gonna get?
I don't know. I swear the only thing I could think is every once in a while I'll have eggs in my pocket and be like, where'd this come from? I don't know. Must have picked it up randomly and pop it in there.
Probably.
It was probably after we got back from a fucking Blazemite Ryu fight. And I was like, oh, where'd this egg come from? I don't know. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Where the fuck is a foxicle? Wait, no, where the fuck is a foxicle?
My base. My breeding base. They mean eating the battlefield? They shouldn't be. Guys, we need to form a workers' union with it. You just want to be cake, that's all you want.
Oh, shit. I didn't even think about. I have so many cakes. Why? What's the limit? Flour? Kidding? Okay, hold on. Get her to work. Get her to work. Look. Gummy. Gummy. I'm gonna need to make more flour.
No, all these ones are good.
There's a foxicle at the... There's a foxicle at the ranch base, but there should be plenty of food there.
There should be.
That's just too damn bad. Don't know how to swim in real life either, so he's just like you. Aww. Is it here? Yes, everybody's hungry. What the fuck? I'm so confused. Move your fat ass, dude. How am I supposed to check the food when there's a blowhole on it? Maybe that's the issue
I'm gonna
everybody's having.
restart my game to see if
There's so much food. What the fuck do you
graphics
mean?
help.
Why are you guys hungry? Why are you hungry? I'm so confused. Oh, is everybody stuck on the floor?
Oh, they can't get to the food.
Literally, they were just stuck on the floor, so they couldn't get to the food. Wow. All right, I will feed. Look. There, I gave Nikki cake. He wasn't even hungry, but I gave him cake.
Cakey.
I don't even know if it gives a buff when eaten like that. No.
Maya was the one.
Well, too fucking bad. I gave it to the little Nikki.
Rip.
You're gonna have to eat it out of his mouth.
I think you are gonna need that union, Maya.
Starve!
Cake is delicious. I like cake too. Oh no. When I'm in big head mode. When I'm in big head mode, the sticker covering my eye, that's little Nicky,
Yeah.
covers half my face, and the advert one was like my entire neck, upper chest, and chin.
That's great. That's great. Love that.
I am become sticky nose.
What are you doing right now?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just wandering around waiting. We ready?
Well, let me swap out little Nicky. As much as I love him to pieces, he's just. I'm gonna put him to work. Okay, I'm gonna put him to work. Don't worry. I'm gonna put him to work. Little Nicky, the fuck work. Do you have something you want to mine or set on fire? Well, you can't set things on fire because there's nothing to set on fire here. Is there something you want to mine? What the fuck else was in my pocket? Oh, the pen king. The pals here
What are
for
the
the mine.
demands of your
I guess if I'm listening to the Pell Union, what would you like to work on? I'll let you pick your task. We've got logging site, coal quarry, sulfur quarry, ore mining, hexalite, pure quartz, sorelite, iron. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, what's the demands of your union, Maya?
There you go. Let's go watch you pound sand.
But with defeat of the union, we ask them what are their demands, and they expect to get stuff.
There you go. Look at him working so hard. Alright. Walaska. And by Walaska, obviously I mean Pantherless, not that other whale. I want to be overworked if possible. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, babe.
Look how bad the spear is. Maya? Poke, poke. This is all the spear does. Poke, 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 poke. It does not much damage.
Okay, Maya, you are so underworked, you're in storage. And Nikki, I will leave you there. I have set you to the mines.
It's literally just poke. The enemies a lot of the time just move out of the way. It's so slow.
Come on, babe.
It does not much damage. It makes me depressed to have it. But storage is boring.
I'll let you out somewhere. I'm gonna let you out to do no work.
I feel like Maya would love to be a Berloha.
Oh yeah, I do have a Berloha just like walking around vibing. That Berloha does nothing but exist.
Exists, eat food, provides a good passive buff.
Yep.
Jesse's told me to hydrate, you monster.
You
Oh
wanna
my
see?
god. The hands covered my entire face.
Oh my gosh. I want to sit in the hot tub and prevent everyone else from using it. I see. Oh, babe, we got it. We got fights to have.
Ah. Let's go, my love. This is the first time I've ridden a flyer, but I'm not good at fly. Oh no, a wave is coming.
Oh no, my Dynamoth is almost dead.
Holy Nova.
I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't want to fight with this bitch.
Ow.
I feel like it's more effective without me.
Yeah, I did some good damage. Ah.
Oh, my Dynamoth died.
Oh my god, the boss is doing something.
Terrible timing.
Ah! You make it splash. Holy shit. Oh, no, we stunned him. Did we stun this one?
Nice, Camino.
Wow. I'm in his mouth. He's eating me. He's consumed me.
Oh no. He's cheating. He's going in the ground. Am I inside him? Where is he?
Directly in the
Can't. I can't reach.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh, tidal wave. I think
I
that's
need
what this-
stamina.
Oh no, the wind tunnel disappeared. Okay, so not tidal wave yet. Maybe tidal wave now.
Well, as a wave approaches, use the wind turbulence to jump over it. I'm just gonna fly.
Jump! Oh, I barely made it. My Celestia ate it. I'm gonna say Celestia. I'm sorry.
I don't think I'm anywhere near being able to use that ability.
What ability?
Holy burst!
Oh.
Oh, Celine!
Oh, I hit it in the tail as it went up.
Celine is my.
It's gonna do the tidal wave again.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh no, not the tidal wave. It's the other one.
Yeah.
Make it no.
I've wasted an entire attack.
We got it very close. 2040-ish. Oh. Oh no. Maybe this Holy Nova is gonna kill us. Yes!
Did you get it?
It's on 1 health. We catch it.
Yeah, throw!
Oh, we
Yeet!
gotta avoid this. Tidal wave!
Yeet ball! Yeet ball! Ball!
Oh no, I went up too early. I'm gonna get hit by the tidal wave. Oh no!
Get in the ball!
There we go. It fell to the world. There it is. I got it with a ball.
Yay, got it!
Let in.
Wee! See, that was way easier than last time. But only because I was actually able to get on a fucking flyer this time instead of just spending the entire time drowning. The fact that I even survived last time is shocking.
Genuinely, yeah.
I should have died.
Did you get downed at all last time?
No,
I know your pals died.
no, my pals died, but I was fine. However, this time, Dynamop's dead.
No, you couldn't fly that fat bitch to safety.
Oh, now I have to talk to this bitch, I guess. You alright? Blah, 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 blah. We've read all this before. So let's go to... First, I'm gonna go back to my house. My house.
Look at my hunt, my hunt.
Oh, I love you too, babe.
I am so honey.
Cute.
Jesse redeemed the care package.
Ooh, okay, that was stretch then. After I put Dynamorph in the storage. For being a lazy fuck. Totally for being a lazy fucking nut.
And now we can go and break into the world tree.
Well, I have lost... There it is. Oh my god, mine's an alpha.
Alfalfa.
He's a bit large. What? He's in my house. Oh shit, he's stuck. He's stuck in my house. Fuck. Yeah. Alright, hold on. Let's see if I can, cast him. Not in my house. He's a bit large. Yeah, he's a bit large. Okay. There we go. Alright, we're gonna go to the world tree. Well, I'm going to the world tree. I'm about to go to Tristan. Look, we can stand on it. Hold on, I think.
We can stand on him, yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's very... He's very stable.
And one other cool thing you can do with him is you can put Panthless in your raid bases.
Really?
You can take him in raids, yeah.
Interesting. Whoa, that is a random...
Big whale.
That hell Zephyr Lux is like shocked. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Big. I could just teleport over there, but I'd rather swim. Fly. Swim, fly. Fly and swim. Let's see what attacks we can do. I see. Bubble rain. Okay. And what about creeping bubbles?
Oh, it does have Aqua Tornado. It's got stronger skills that aren't assigned.
Oh, does it?
Panthless has Holy Burst. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Aqua Tornado. It's its
Tidal
exclusive skill.
charge.
Oh, it's got a lot of exclusive skills.
I see that. Well, this would be better than that. And then, what else looks fun? Maelstrom. Okay. Grand Breach. Let's try these. Whoa, and now I'm swimming. I'm gonna drown. Maelstrom. What happens if I do that on land? Oh, Tristan, are you further ahead than me?
Well, I mean, my closest base is right here, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Hi.
Hello. Where are you?
I'm gonna try.
hello.
I'm gonna try tidal charge. Is that what that is?
That is Aqua something.
I splished you.
Oh my god, it means blue.
Maelstrom.
Maelstrom is cool. The one Aqua Tornado was the one with the tornadoes everywhere.
Did you see Grand Breach?
I did not.
Do Grand Breach.
Grand Breach.
You'll like this one.
Ooh, that's gonna be good AoE for clearing camps.
Right? I'll be there for
I'll be there for you.
I'll be there for you.
Okay, so if anyone hasn't been in World Tree and would like to avoid spoilers, we are about to enter it. I'm not saying leave, but
We
like,
want you to stay. I don't care about spoilers.
yeah, maybe,
You guys might care about spoilers. I don't. Stay.
maybe like lurk and put us on a different, like in the background or something, or just yeah. If you want to avoid spoilers, spoiler content's coming up for World Tree stuff.
This is, well, not our first time, but this is the first time we're actually going to do stuff in the laundry.
Yeah.
I'm watching it because it's cool as fuck.
It is cool as fuck. Oh, that was not a good burp.
Yuck. Right, and now we have a whole new area. This is what the map looks like. A whole new map. This person.
Probably a. Do you think there is a watchtower in here somewhere? Probably somewhere, but
Maybe.
maybe that light in the distance is the watchtower. You just knocked me off. Forgive me.
It's okay if it's any consolation, I'll knock myself off too. Don't even fucking know where I am right now. Where's my whale? Whale, come back!
Whale, come back. You can blame it all on me, whale.
Ah, well. That's okay. Who needs a world tree or the thing when you got a whale?
I'm gonna swap out my party slightly. I don't need these two. I want that one. I want to get some.
Actually, yeah.
I want to get some things I can gain
This
trust
is gonna hurt.
and probably levels as well.
Help!
But
In 92 seconds, I'm gonna die.
I'm on my way.
Help! I was like, oh, this is gonna hurt. Yeah, no shit.
Oh no, I broke my streak. I flew on pantsless. Yeah. It's fine. It's literally just blind to the world, not blind for anything else.
Oh yeah, right. Help me, Tristan.
Tell me when you're gonna die.
I don't know. Oh, I just
On my way.
I see a Grisbolt. I fell on the ground.
Lots of Grisbolts, and some of them are hostile.
This one's level 70. Doesn't look hostile.
71s aren't hostile. Is this
Hey,
you?
behind you! Behind you! On the ground!
Hello.
Help!
I touch you.
Thank you.
I rub your head and then you get up.
Thank you. See, Lucy's rubbing my head too. I give me head pats. Thank you.
Ooh, what's in here? Oh, goodbye, Grisbolt.
Rip. That was the Grisbolt that I was talking about.
Electric radiant gem.
Wee.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
This is the first time I've actually started exploring. Oh, here's a Walaska Ignis. In the wild. He's sleeping. Sleeping. He's sleeping.
24% catch rate, it's so. Oh my god.
Oh no, he
God,
died. Oh no.
He's forever
Oh shit.
sleeping.
I didn't realize you were here. How awkward.
What are these? Vitaly Ignises? Yeah.
Oh.
I don't have any of these.
I do.
Do I have my glasses on me?
I didn't realize you can get them here.
I don't have my glasses on me. Oh well.
Oh, you want me to see if I can tell you which one's a good one?
No, I was gonna try and catch one by Mercy hitting it.
Oh, I see.
I don't have any of those yet. Oh look, my love!
Whoa.
A World Tree Dark Egg.
Yeah.
You want it?
That could be somebody.
Yeah. See somebody help. I smell somebody help. Oh my god, this thing.
I'm a Sanda Lux over here. What?
I drink some World Tree holy water and mine is no.
I do need to mine some ore.
Palazite.
I need some palisite. But first, I need to find some and then drink water.
I found a big node.
Did you?
Oh, you could have your Akira gang and get an instant amount.
I could. You're right. Okay.
Is there a tree anywhere around here as well? Oh no, it ran out. It does run out very quickly.
Does yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Wow, there's wild duelists here as well.
Yeah, there's duelists in the city part too. Okay. I'm gonna go see about getting some more shrines.
Oh, I do so much damage with a Celestia. Oh, there's random mythical wood just on the ground that you can pick up. Even if you don't have the World Tree pop active.
Oh, same with ore actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I just picked up 2 Paxilite. And a tree disappeared.
Yeah, I had a tree disappear.
Ooh.
Oh, a big node of platinum.
Starlon Primo.
And a login tree.
Wait, hold on. No, come back. Come back! Excuse me.
I need a lot of wood.
Did you know that Starion Primos are the best gatherers?
I didn't know. Why is that?
They just are? I don't know.
Or is it just like at base?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We need 200 mythical wood per. Oh no, it ran out. Per skill fruit orchid thing.
Fruit Orchid.
Oh, I've got some ancient relics things. Yes. Like the skill fruit trees you can go skill fruit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
200 mythical wood per. What is this? That's the glow of an effigy, I believe.
What kind of effigy?
What is that?
I have...
A cadaver. I have no idea what that does, but...
Vetiver.
Watching... Oh!
What?
Xiaolong. A wild Xiaolong.
Really?
Is it not a world boss?
Ooh, what's this area over here that's so pretty? I see ore. I see ore. I think I see ore.
This entire place is beautiful. It sucks you can't build here.
Need mods. Just need mods, motherfucker. Alright.
Mod would probably fix it. But... Oh, fishing spots. I wonder if these fishing spots are all master fishing spots.
I do also see a wild Xiaolong. But I want to do this.
Soul spears are just on the ground. Darian Zeno. Let's see what. Grandmaster Fishing Pots.
Oh, nice.
You're gonna want a proper fishing team to come over there.
Yeah.
The master fishing spots are hard enough as is, let alone
I
one.
got,
I'm gonna
I
find
have
one.
108 packs of light now. I also see the... What kind of soul are these? Come along. Come along.
Now this is all over the place. It's not
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a
too
minute.
bad,
Wait
but
a
it's not
minute.
the flowy one.
Wait a minute. What's going on, my Celine? My Celine. Smoke.
Oh, but what is this? A Sonora Lux. Old resistant ancient armor skill. Okay. Now this one's definitely gonna be a I will not capture, but I want to see how hard glowing purple, not the purple sparky,
Ow.
glowing purple.
Ow! Holy fuck, Nuggets, dude. Get the fuck out the water.
Oh my god, yeah, this is gonna need a fishing team. Oh my god, that is definitely gonna need a fishing team. Stay safe, Mayo, don't get lost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I got a Xiaolong.
You got one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it tried to kill me, so... Okay, so here's another thing. I got off of Celine, and I don't know what happened, when it happened. Was it that I put her in the water? I don't know what happened, but somehow she had the effect,
Oh, my Celestia has it too.
right? Like, what is happening? What, did you do something?
I drank a holy water and then I wrote it. That's all I've done.
Okay. Nara. Oh! So there's energy of the hallowed spring fully recovers Aiko and their party pal's health.
Is it the water?
There's these springs that look like a little T-fence, which is honestly adorable.
That's cool. I need to go back to my base to offload these. This wood and palazite. I might go back to the quest person and hand it to them.
I get it.
Thank you for telling me to hydrate before, Jesse. I needed that.
Yeah. The trees disappearing around me, but that's fine.
And I go back to my...
Okay. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Run!
You're gonna get Aiko. The care package is just like...
Care package is all encompassing.
But Aiko was getting annoyed by things constantly getting redeemed, so it's basically like everything but Aiko will do.
What I need to get done. You're right, yeah. I just passed it on.
I think it's just a visual bug.
Maybe.
I don't think it actually gives you the gives the pal the effect.
Oh. Viva. Figure out what the Kativa does while you're out.
Oh yes, I will.
Itchy.
This could be really
Got
good.
an itchy back!
Yes, you did the right one.
Yes. Thank you.
Drink. Oh.
What?
Oh, reduce stamina depletion when running while mounted.
Oh, nice. That is good.
It doesn't look like it's gonna get up to 100%. It looks like maybe 50% will be its max.
What is there here? Snocklux! Snock! I bet that Snock is Maya's favorite new pal.
His favorite?
Maya.
Oh. That one- that would be great.
Uh-oh.
I think some enemies in the World Tree dropped World Tree Holy Water.
I don't know, maybe.
Let me catch one of the.
The fuck was just targeting me?
Um,
The fuck, bruv? The Rouges are in here. Oh my god, Orsurks.
Oh, you found some Ozarks?
Yes. They're angry with me.
No. Get that word for cute.
Come on.
nutrition.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
I am.
Bitch. I got one! I got one!
Nice!
But you can only
What
breed
does-
it with each other, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get a
It's the only
second
way
one.
to get more, I think.
Get in the fucking bow. Stay in the fucking bow.
Yeah. Yeah, only with itself.
Bitch.
You've got one that is amazing.
I'm about to have two.
Ooh.
I swear to God, if you don't stay in this fucking bow. Bitch.
Okay, you can get lift monk effigies from inventory as well.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The Orsurks look way cooler than I thought they did.
Nothing's trying to email me. Was it you, Starry, on Primo? Probably.
Okay, I'm going back to here. No, hold on. How do I back out? R home. Okay. I have an Orsurk. I have an Orsurk. That is so awesome. I say it's awesome like I ever fucking wanted one, but now I have one.
You have one for whatever purpose you need. For all Starry on
70, 93, 87 was the first one. And the second one was 95, 64, 32. And male and female. I have a breeding pair. While in a
Nice.
party, hitting an enemy with a bullet increases the attack and defense of the pal fighting alongside you by 1% for 5 seconds. This effect stacks up to 30 times. It does not
That is
stack.
a ridiculous buff. I see why it's meta. That is insane. Not useful for the bow.
Yeah, I don't need it.
That would be insane for me with the charge rifle.
Xiaolong. This pal's attack increases by 4% for each other dragon pal in your party.
What is this? This looks really pretty. Surely something bad's gonna be here. Yep. There's a dual earth boss that it already says I've defeated it. So I've killed a dual earth boss before. But I haven't killed a level 75 one.
I have 6 neutral radiant gems. I also have 3 gorgeous ancient relics.
Ooh.
And 1 electric radiant gem. Is that how we get it from killing things? I am gonna put this huge dark egg that I
Okay, I
found.
got some decayed ancient relics from killing the duelist boss.
I'm putting this huge dark egg in this incubator because I'm so curious to see what's in it. And then I'm gonna go put some stuff in storage. And then see what the fuck I can make with this shit I'm getting ready to put in storage.
Let's go for a tree. Blast cannon, aqua surge, hydro slicer. Ooh, that's what we're after, isn't
Hydro
it?
Slicer is good against Moonlord at least.
Let me chop down another tree. Celestia looks eager to help with logging. Oh my god, Celestia, please get back in the ball. You make the trees hide. They're scared of you.
You need holy tree, world tree holy water to make the Paxilite.
Yes, you need World Tree Holy Water for so many things in here.
Okay, and how do you get it?
Endgame. I did, like, oh, a spring. You get 10 from the springs.
Yeah.
And I think some pals give it when you kill them, like maybe some water pals. I don't know. Ancient spheres from that.
I will check on him to make sure he's doing good. Excuse me. Is there a reason that the legendary materials merchant is out here mining? And apparently, fucking not. Where the hell's little Nicky at? Where the hell's that motherfucker? Making the materials merchant do his job.
Stop loading.
Where is he? Is he taking a break?
We taking break, could be getting food, could be stuck somewhere.
Okay, he's not in this pool. He's not in that pool.
Shao Long.
Nikki, where the fuck are you?
Nikki, come back. Okay, Xiaolong is captured. I've caught a Xiaolong. He's philanthropist.
Are you a good worker? Yeah. Yeah,
What is
totally.
it? Just terrain. Maybe, I don't know.
Nikki, where are you?
Gracie, wake up.
I don't like this. Chrissy, wake up. Did he run away? I'll see. Is he down here? Hello?
You're in the right whale. I just ran past you. Maybe.
Oh? Oh, yeah, there he goes. Back to work. You were hiding in the whale. Tisk, tisk.
Okay.
Sneaky bitch.
Xiaolong just seems passive. And no matter its level. Which is nice. Okay, caught me a Xiaolong.
I can make wing cells. Not that that's super helpful for me anymore.
Electric radiant gems from Xiaolongs? Okay. Whoops.
Oh my god, you're gonna need so many gems. Buddy, alright. So what, time to grind, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright.
It was what Psycho who was mentioning how they gotta grind a lot of stuff in here. Was it Psycho?
Yeah, I think so. Alright, so let's see what we can find. Let's go here. You never saw me slacking? I can't get in trouble. That's true. I didn't see anything, literally.
You saw the insides of a whale, I imagine. Can't lift mine.
Alright, let's see what we can fuck up. I don't think I'm gonna try taming anything right now, so I'm just gonna go put those on and just kill everything I see.
Also, apparently Mimogs are somewhat common throughout here because it's a really high level area. My Cora? Oh, this is new. Oh, she's cute.
Mm-hmm. I
Doing
haven't
amazing.
actually seen it, and I know. I haven't seen them actually yet. Okay, so I got 2 World Tree Holy Waters from Petalia Ignis
Okay.
and a Fire Radiant Gem.
Okay, I'm actually gonna um, take a
Got
note.
1 Holy Water, 2 Radiant Gems. So it's a mix between get some Holy Waters, Radiant Gems. Not a lot of Holy Waters. Let me go kill this Whisper. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Let's find out. Wispaw.
If you kill something and it drops World Tree Holy Water, I'm just gonna note it down. So
Okay.
like,
The Wispaw, yes, and then drops ground Radiant Gems from the Wispaw.
Whisper drops Holy Water.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Duplex Primo. Yeah.
Okay, we'll ask it Ignis. Does not drop Holy Water, however, drops Fire Radiant Gem. And Corlamore, obviously, so.
That's good to know. You can still farm Coraline in here. Oh, a Wild Lumen.
Dupin. Holy Water, not much. Fire Radiant Gems. I'm trying to keep track of like how much we're getting. Damn it,
I'm
bitch.
just so far making anything. A Wild Lylene and Lylene. Okay. That's cute. Moving around in a pair.
That's adorable. Okay. Oh! Starion gave me 3 gorgeous ancient relics and 3 neutral radiant gems. Starion Primo. That's good to grind for relics.
Oh wow.
What?
I found a skill fruit of Holy Burst on a tree.
Really nice. Let's see if this
That
T-Fant
is
is
actually
back.
amazing.
T-Fant's back up. I don't know how long it takes. Touch Spring, 10 Holy Water. Okay. I am gonna head this way.
And my Cora does. Some things might,
My core does what?
does drop World Tree Holy Water.
Okay, good.
It's only 2, but it is going on the list. Because I know we're gonna need to grind a shit ton. Hell's Sight, you gonna need fully.
Looks like these Starions do also drop World Tree Holy Water. Scream time about to look absolutely diabolical. What do you mean?
What's being diagonally about? Springtime. Also, good morning, indeed. I hope you have I hope you had a wonderful sleep.
Ooh, shrine over here. I like that all of these shrines are like, it's like, it's in a cave, but it's like not in a cave. It's in the world tree, which I guess is a cave. You
True.
fell asleep? Oh, I see. Then you're gonna have lots of points then.
Oh, a wild Mimog. I have no drop increase things from Mim Mimogs, and I gave 207
207 what?
dog coins
Nice. That is
with
amazing.
with no drop increases. That's just as a base in the world. I see why they farm dog coins in here
I
in a lot of
see, I see. A lot of videos and stuff.
videos. Yeah.
Makes sense. I could definitely use some fucking dog coins. But I'm not gonna steal them from you. I just want to know where they are.
I love if you see any glowing white orbs, don't touch them.
Alright.
They explode and knock out your pal, or you're the one that gets it. Ooh.
Ah, shit.
Lumens also drop the wall.
Escape! Escape me! Run away! Okay. If you are surrounded in Wistellas, just don't fight them. Just leave them alone. Leave the Wistellas alone. They will blind you. Like real life you.
You're a boss. Okay.
Hmm?
There's a Mycora boss over here, and it's surrounded in like 2 Shroomer Nox and 2 Shroomers.
I don't think I've seen any bosses yet. Might have headed in random directions, though.
Yeah, I'm just literally going in a direction. I've only encountered 2 bosses. Like to your north is a the duelist.
Oh my gosh. Look, have you looked up at the sky?
Oh, that is pretty when you can actually see it.
Yeah. Oh, there's another shrine over here. I think I just popped my ears. What the fuck?
Mycora is also good for relics.
I'm going down, going down. I see the white orbs, by the way.
Nice, nice. You probably
You
entered the
said they're
same
good for
area.
relics?
Mycora gave me gorgeous ancient.
Okay.
Relic.
First of all, let me just try and catch that one.
Yeah, they don't list if they drop relics or and they literally don't list any of their drops
I didn't
from the
get
world tree.
any relics from the Mycoras that I just
It's
got.
not guaranteed.
Okay.
Same with the Lumen, it's not guaranteed. And the civil looks pretty nice. It's not guaranteed.
Okay. I wonder if that's why it's not listed, just because. Lumen! Oh my god, I found a random fucking relic on the ground.
You can find those on the ground?
Apparently.
Good to know. Good to know that we should keep our eyes open.
Plus, of course, you dropped one on the ground and, like, didn't pick it up.
Possible.
No, because here's another one. This one's glistening ancient relic.
Don't the qualities of the relics go all the way up to legendary? I feel like they would.
I have dormant, uncommon, glistening, legendary, and 6 gorgeous, rare. I do have a legendary one.
Okay, so glistening is the best we can
I
get.
found it on the ground. I didn't even kill anything.
Yes, and I know we could use the database. We will use the database for things. Hi,
Hi,
honey.
babe.
The boss is behind you. You heading off to bed now, Jesse?
This is the boss, the Sibilex?
No, it's in the mushroom.
Oh, it's a Sibilex Primo.
I hope you have a wonderful rest, Jesse.
Ow. Save your life. I'm trying to save your life.
So good night, and I hope you have an amazing stream, and I'll probably see you when I wake up. Yeah.
So this is the boss?
See you later, Jesse.
So this is the boss?
Yes, and then my Cora is the boss.
Cute as a button. Aww.
Oh, that is adorable.
I'm trying to save your life. Let me love you. Let me love you. Trying to save your life. Ow. Let me love you. Thanks.
Oh, Shroomers drop.
Decayed ancient relic. Okay, hold on.
That's like the worst one, I think.
Is it? Ooh. Chibi. Oh my god, I'm tiny. I think. If I'm not tiny, then we have a problem. My stream's delayed, so I need to check. I am tiny.
Yeah, Decayed is the common one. I have glowing ancient relics.
So good night. Hope you have an amazing stream. Oh my goodness. Everything went away. I'd break. Okay, love you. Night.
Good night, Jesse. Have a good sleep.
I am baby. Now I'm the adorable one.
I don't know what gave that. Now both of you are both chibi.
What's over here? What's down over here, huh? What's over here? What's over here? I don't know. I'm just going. Taking this path this way.
I haven't gone any further that way from where you are. I 100% could pull up the hell, the like interactive.
Let's explore.
I'm happy to explore naturally.
I explored the rest of the other map. That was fine. Ooh, I found another gorgeous ancient relic on the ground. Aw, I see the Lilines. I left them alone. We've already proven I can kick their ass. Ooh, I want this. I want this. Come here, come here, come here. Be my bestie. Be my bestie, girl. No, be my bestie.
My inventory is already almost full. Inventory fills up so quickly.
I have a Soline.
You found a wild Celine?
Yeah.
No.
Soline.
Soline.
Soline, not Celine.
Celine.
But she's also dark. She's also dark neutral.
Oh, cool.
She interests me.
What a passive does.
Okay, there's water down here. I wonder if there's a spring.
So now have a new favorite. You love the Blinkies? I go Blinky.
Oh yeah.
Is amazing.
I'm so glad you like it. I saw that Kiko had one. Kiko had one, and I absolutely had to get it. So I was like, oh my god, where'd you get that? So she told me, and I went and commissioned it from the exact same person. And that is exactly how that shit should work. You see something that somebody else has that's awesome, and you share, and then you're just like, then you both have something fucking awesome. That's how artists should spread their shit, by making awesome shit that other people are like, I want that awesome shit too. Not from hopping into your DMs by messaging you randomly on Discord.
And honestly, like
Are you
VGen
looking
is.
for commission? Are you looking for anybody to do your work? I really, just really want. I'm really going through a hard time, and I need you to hire me for work that you'd never mentioned you needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I have found a wild Roger.
I've seen a lot of them. I've been ignoring them. I'm being stalked by a Polaris Aqua, I think. I'm not sure. I think it wants my booty. Hello, Roger. Goodbye, Roger. Roger is like a bird vampire. Tell me I'm wrong. Ooh, what's up here? Ooh.
Okay.
How big is this place? This update's fucking massive. There's so much. Why can't I build in here, dude? I bet I could find a couple awesome places to build. Ooh, Univolt crystals, how pretty. No, get in the ball.
They're so pretty until they're working.
Yeah, then they look dead. Okay, that wasn't my fault. If you die, it's not my fault. I was just defending myself. Wow. Wow, rude. Wow, rude. Excuse me. Rude. Rude. Get in the ball. Now you're my bitch. Vanguard. Man.
Oh,
What? Venusa! Venusa nest.
Oh.
I'm gonna get all these. You guys' babies are my babies now. Haha, fuck you.
Solaris
Valaris?
for relics.
Oh. It's a Venusa boss.
Listen.
Oh my god. Would you like to know the name of the Venusa? What they call the Venusa boss?
What's that?
Salon shunner. It shuns salons because it doesn't want a haircut.
It really doesn't. Oh, that is great.
Wow. That's fucking beautiful. I love that. I need... Shit. I would like... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, look. I don't need these. Oh, I dropped those on the ground instead of just fucking... Is that a fruit? Volcanic rain? Just on the ground, I guess. Alright, let me find a shrine. Surely there's gonna be a shrine around here, right? Like up here, maybe. I don't know. No, there's not. Oh, but this would look cool. This is what I'm saying. You know, I haven't tried building a base yet. Maybe I can now. Maybe that was a bug.
Don't.
What? What? What can I ditch? What can I ditch? No, it's fine. What am I doing? It doesn't take up slots in my inventory. It's a bell. I was like trying to figure out, I was like, what can I drop to pick up this Bastigor? Get in my pocket! I got a Bastigor. I got a Bastigor. Yay. It's sad. It's a depressed Bastigor, but it's a Bastigor.
Apparently I found another boss, that my Celestia has decided to try and kill immediately.
That's fine, honestly. Just fucking go for it. Hey, I see that you're near things. I want to visit things, man. Look at him. I don't have him. Get in my pocket. Whoa, whoa.
Bosses are good for relics. They drop like multiple different types.
Okay.
I imagine all the relics.
Bruh. Stop being mean. Get in my pocket. You wanna die? Ugh. You calm down. Being very mean. Voldemort was being mean, and now he's behaving. A beacon, Chris. I want that too. Nope, get in the ball. Get what I say. Get in the ball.
I have unintentionally glitched myself into a wall.
As opposed to all the other times you intentionally did it.
I have
I
intentionally.
know.
So. Oh, a Renjishi! That's got a World Tree passive.
Oh, does it? How do you know?
It's got the glow on it.
Oh, is that how... There's a glow that they have if they have a World Tree passive?
I think so. It had the glow as if, like, I had drunk the World Tree water.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna keep an eye out for
At
that.
level 80. Yeah, got it. God of Destruction.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's what we need to keep out for is pals that have the glow.
It also gave, Renjishi... It gave, like, the blue, green, and purple, relic. Maybe, awakened... Renjishi seems good for relics, but it could also just be awakened pals. In general.
Ow!
How much do we need for the relic recycler? Ancient relic recycler, 50 Palisite, ancient civ parts, civ cores, mythic wood. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get more Palisite.
I want to explore this place. I want to explore this place so fucking bad, dude. I'm going back to the house. I had to put some stuff away.
It might look like when you throw the ball at a pal that has a passive, like a fuck. That's a waste. When you throw the ball at a at a pal that has an awakened, uh, like that has a World Tree passive, um, when they escape from the ball, it looks like they don't have the passive because the glow hasn't kicked in.
Okay.
That's just basically it. If they're out for long enough, it'll kick in, and then. I'm gonna fully mine this. It'll put me overweight, but not too far that I can't jump. I'm gonna try and get my... Oh, I'm in a frozen lake! Oh, cool!
Going back.
Greyhound wrists? Bastigor?
Oh, you're going towards where I was going. I found... Oh, what did this shrine just say it was called? Oh, please tell me. Please tell me it was called what I think it was called. Abandoned laboratory. I thought it said abandoned library. Oh,
That would have been cool.
this place looks awesome.
Algarve Chris. Let me get a Bastigor. See what that draws.
Ice stuff.
I'm all meaning like relic wise.
Oh my god, I love that duelit nog so much. Oh my god.
Oh, Bastigors seem better. Free holy water.
What is that? What is that?
I wonder
Do I
if
have to go that
Bastigor
way?
only appears.
Look at it. Look at it. Do you see? It looks like something I need to do over there.
This looks
It's
like
a forbidden laboratory.
A destroyed castle? What is this gonna be?
There's a shrine down in there. How do we get down there? How do we get in there? I want in.
Let me in. Oh, an elemental chest. Okay,
Here, I'm
Cativa
up here.
effigy.
I don't think we can get there from up. I think I have to go down. We gotta go this way. Holy Nova! Ow! Leave me alone, I don't wanna fight!
Let's see. Oh, the elemental chests are also good for relics.
You know what I've got? The element of surprise. I'm just kidding. What's wrong with me? I found my way in. Where am I? What is this? I don't know.
Boss over here in the ice area. I wonder what it is. Might be a bastion. If that's the case, that could be good to farm. It's a Moldron Crest.
There's a boss battle in here.
A boss what?
A boss battle. You know how the one that looked like the Panthalus?
Oh!
I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Wait! I think I do.
Think you do?
I think I do. I think it might be the white dragon.
Oh!
It's supposed to take 10 minutes, and it's level 78.
I feel like that might be indeed the white dragon.
Let us not do that one right now.
Blue Eyes. His name.
I want to go to this area, but here's the thing. I accidentally bypassed this and this. Running through here, because I was just...
Is there a shrine up towards you? And are you up high?
Yeah. There's 2 shrines up here.
I am over towards you.
I'm leaving.
Okay, I see one of the
Good luck.
shrines.
I missed 2 shrines over by an area I wanted to look at. Alright, I want to go west. That way.
Going west? Okay.
Going wild. I'm trying to remember the Wild Wild West theme song.
Yeah, Univolt Christmas here with Bastigles. Oh my god, this is...
You're gonna have to go through a little area. In that area, you're just gonna have to zoom. But you're on a horse, so, or a deer. So, maybe not so much zooming. Free fall.
I'll go Chris for both.
I did get a Bastigor. Mayo, welcome back. We're just doing the explore. Is that a giant? Never mind. I don't know. I saw a palm tree. For some reason, I thought it was a giant bug.
Mayonnaise?
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh! That's gonna be good to grab.
What?
On the way up to the boss thingy you found up here.
Yeah.
On the Anubis statues out the front, there are effigies.
Oh, I saw one.
on both of them as an effigy. One looks like a cathedra, and the other one looks
I
like
found the cathedral.
nice. On the other Anubis
So
statue,
unholy bursted me. So rude.
like a Yakima on the other one, or like a legend, whatever the
What are you doing?
red tier one is.
Leave me alone.
Oh, I'm sorry if not feeling 100%.
Sorry.
It sounds like you're on the mend at least, getting a bit better.
Ooh. That's what I wanted to see. I understand. Honestly, I'm probably very close to that also.
How much time do we have left on the timer, and how long have we been going for? 9.5 hours?
For 9.5 hours, and we have currently an hour left.
Okay.
Gorgeous. There is a way shrine. Or a, what is it called? Watchtower.
There is?
Yes.
Oh, I hope it does the entire area.
I hope it does
That'll be
too.
cool.
Yeah. Oh my god, Celestia and Celestia knocked together. This area is beautiful. Oh, they're mad at me. No, we're good. Oh, they're bosses. Yeah, I'll definitely go back and fight you, just not like right this moment. To go check this watchtower and see how much I see.
Oh, the watchtower's in that area. Okay.
Right here, right where I am.
I will make my way there.
This is wild.
You have to do the entire thing?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the map yet. I'm just looking around.
Oh, I hope.
It does not do the entire thing.
Or there's multiple watchtowers. Good to know.
Oh, this area is massive.
Is this a cave behind a wall? No, it's just a weird reflection.
Petrois Primo.
Oh, we can get the primos.
Wild Selines.
Nice.
Level 76. Stella.
I love how that I've got infinite climb.
That's good. That's gonna be important. Shit's high
For
up.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could fly, it would be no problem, but...
Me, since my sense of time is inaccurate at best, has it been 3 hours?
Since you left? No.
Not since you left. Why?
At most, I would say... I'm not sure when we started it. Yeah. Oh, since the Pale Egg Roulette thing. Oh, that's actually...
Oh, I don't know.
What's that?
Does it let you do it? That's the only way I'd know. If it lets you do it, then it has been 3 hours. It does not, then no, it has not.
Oh, okay, it's probably been... yeah, at most, I'd say, like, an hour and a half. Child tapping? Cool. Lots of Wistellas, lots of Tetrois Primos in this area. Thank you so much for getting me Sky Marcher. That is just essential.
No, I know, it's completely fine. There's so many cool places here, and they're so big, and it's so gorgeous, and I
And
just
it gets
want,
to
like,
live for the time being.
I just want
Oh, this place is gorgeous.
so gorgeous.
Absolutely amazing.
You saying amazeballs is strange. I'm just gonna say that. It felt so weird. Like,
Oh, I can see the other watchtower. We are going way past it. It is very far in the distance northeast. I'm gonna make my way to it.
I'm on my way.
On my way.
My way, I'm on my
This
way.
place is so beautiful. It's got like so many different biomes
It
too.
does. It's gorgeous. Did you get this other watchtower though?
Yes, I got this watchtower.
Okay, I didn't even see you up here. Damn. Oh, I do see it in the distance also.
Oh yeah, it's far back. You will have a much easier time getting there. Because I have to go down to then go back up.
There's so many cool places that would be awesome to build here, dude.
Mm,
How rude.
how lewd. I mean, rude. I'm curious about.
I see you. I just saw you do a big jump. Hello. Hello, you below me.
I'm baloney.
Below me. I didn't say baloney.
I am balonies. This is just very pretty looking and not intended for anything. Oh, okay. Oh, keep to the left.
Okay, I
That
made it to
door
the
is
other
locked.
watchtower.
In at least half an hour since that.
Hmm? Makes me want to defeat the tower boss. I'm stuck on even more. Do it.
Actually, yeah, my love.
Hmm.
You should be able to check when the egg roulette redeem was activated last in your activity feed.
2 hours ago.
Yeah, so you got probably under an hour, Maya.
I don't know why I'm sitting here trying so hard to jump on this little thing when I can fucking fly. Spoopy. Big spoopy.
If anyone's thinking about being mean or sniping it from Mayo,
I will beat your ass.
we will beat your
There's
ass.
another one of those things though, babe.
Another watchtower?
No. Another. It says Rot Mist Root. It's another boss thingy.
Oh, there's a couple of bosses through here. Ooh.
I see 2. No, I see 3. There's one of the Shrine Spore root.
Interesting.
Oh. Oh no. Okay, so the area where I was before, it says within the seal, right? There was a sealed off area, and it said check the area around. And I'm sitting there going like looking around, thought so I killed the Celestial knocked, whatever, fucking defeated. Okay. There's the boss, Forbidden Laboratory. Then there's the boss at the shroom root thingy, right? What does it say? Shrine Spore root.
Is there a
Then
boss for each
there's a
zone?
boss at the Rotmus root. There's 3 bosses, and I'm
There might
guessing
be a
that's going to be what you have to do before you can open the gate.
there might be boss progression. You might have to do all of them.
The
Okay, okay.
gate is level 80. Question mark, question mark, question
Transport
mark.
route. Oh, okay. Forbidden laboratory. So there might be a specific progression.
Hi, babe.
And 78, 78.
Oh, there's a whole last thing in here, dude.
This is cool.
I
Okay,
just
so
thought it was going to be like come in here, get some resources, high level shit, you know? This is like a whole ass end game.
uh-huh.
This is nice.
Okay, I am gonna prioritize the shrines.
I'm
for-
also going to be prioritizing.
Oh, there's one just right down here. This will just allow travel around a lot faster.
Agreed.
Knockluxes. Orzurk! A pack of 3 Orzurks.
Yeah, that's how I found them. In 3.
Fly. Haha, make you fly. One of them. Two of them.
Northeast. I mean, west.
Oh.
What?
Orzurks are good to grind for relics and got a glistening relic from one and good amount of world tree holy water. 2 to 3 per.
This area is creepy.
Okay, one. Okay,
This
I
area
guess
looks cool, but very creepy. Oh no! Oh no, 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 no! I see! Interesting! I see. I was wondering. I knew it was going to come up at some point. I knew it was going to come up at some point. I wasn't sure when. But I now know.
Oh,
Okay, hold on.
we found something else.
Okay. You know what we need?
What's that?
I can find it. I think I looked already, but I might have. Oh, corrosive mist mask.
Oh! You need a specific mask.
Yep,
Ooh.
because the area that you're getting ready to go into, you'll see.
Okay. Hydrolon Ignises. Let's step foot in here and. Clericals? Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can't run in there and grab the shrine really fast because it's really close. But like,
Venuses, Flericals. Oh. Oh, yeah, okay. We take damage in here. Good thing it's not much damage and it's very close to the shrine. There's another shrine further in as well.
I'm not going that far.
That one's by the boss thing.
I'm leaving right now because like my health is tanking.
I can survive it a bit because of the Celestine mask.
Yeah, I went in a bit
Vision is very good.
because my health is really high.
Duelist Nox? Ooh, in the abandoned laboratory. With Duelist Nox.
Yep, I did notice that too. I'm gonna go ahead and head to.
This is the on the other Anubis.
If it's now or never, I'm gonna live. All right, I'm gonna try seeing what it looks like down in that mushroom biome spore area because I'm wondering if the spore area also needs something different. Yeah, honestly, my best strategy for getting the materials and points I need might be to fish. Maybe. What are you missing out on?
This randomized, Union randomized world, because we can give no advice that would be helpful other than probably it would be good. I don't imagine fishing would be any harder, and you could potentially get those random things. Not randomized. Okay.
Oh, I didn't even know you had a not randomized world.
I just talked about it a couple of times. Yeah.
I just always assumed all of it was randomized.
Sometimes you need a bit of a de-stress where you can progress at a normal rate.
Oh, the tower boss I'm stuck on. Oh, I thought that you were doing the. I thought all of this was in the randomized world.
Yeah, the only thing I can really recommend is just yeah. try to get the materials to upgrade your armor and
Get blueprints.
level
No,
some
you know
more
what you need to
powers.
do? Actually, you know what you need to do? Maya, I'll fucking tell you what you need to do because I'm so good. I'm such a good friend.
Have
Such a good friend.
fun.
No, okay.
No, okay. Don't have
Have
fun.
fun
Fuck
for
you.
sure. Okay, but look. So
Fuck you.
I'm gonna scroll in a bit. Okay. You see these stars that I've put on this map? These are bases. These are bases in the ocean. You need to go to these bases and you need to destroy the people at them and you gotta loot their shit. And just keep doing that. Because you're gonna
There's a
pick
big
up
end.
so many blueprints.
Yeah, there's a
So many
um,
blueprints.
the main thing you want to guarantee to get there is the big end chest.
That's how you're gonna get a lot of high grade shit,
Yeah.
is the blueprints. Because you're not gonna be able to get through with vanilla shit. Not vanilla, but basic shit. You have to have the blueprints for the high level shit.
It'll take a decent amount of grinding, but you'll be able to do it.
You'll be able to do it easy. Yeah, yeah. And it might not even take a decent amount of grinding. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you just get fucking lucky. Like with my bow right here, bruh,
The armor schematic we got, really fucking lucky on that.
it's all luck.
Although that is from treasure maps, which you get treasure maps from them as well, which then do the treasure maps and
Yep, yep, yep.
they give you some good schematics. As for like the resources,
You're just getting a farm.
yeah, resources is just time and like ranching will get you some of the resources you'll probably get stuck on.
Breed to get some of the higher level stuff you need.
You need so freaking much. You can find. Oh no, I thought there was a giant salmon around. You need so many flame
What
organs.
might be a bit strong for your pals? The camps? They shouldn't be. If you're out there trying to defeat Ari, you should be fine to do the camps.
She said her pals are around level 60, so that could be. Some of the
No.
camps are like 70. Some of them are. Which area did you recommend? You
I
should be fine
recommend,
with
honestly, you know what I recommend?
anything on Sakuragurima.
Anything on Saga? No, 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 no. No. Because that can get overwhelming really fast because of the small quarters, it can get overwhelming really quick.
It can, because you got things
However,
that can attack through walls and stuff.
start at these. Okay. If you go to the Astral Mountains Garden Watchtower, right below that to the north is gonna be a one of the things. That's gonna be a lower level one. It's gonna be like whatever level this area generally is not super high. And then there's gonna be another one from there straight west, because I'm very good with decorations. Not decorations. That's what I said. Not directions. I'm very good with decorations, Mayo. That's how I can tell you that it's to the east and not the west. Totally, totally right. I'm going to show you right here on the map. To the east, right? Right? I know because I can decorate.
Sakura can be overwhelming, yes.
It's only overwhelming because of the tight quarters
Yeah.
and everybody's
If
really zoomy.
if you have like pals with like AoE attacks, some AoE attacks are really good. Like there's like Comet something that is really good for clearing. It just basically uh
Get in there.
honestly the
Use
water
Holy
camp.
Burst. Just go in there. Use Holy Burst. Look, so many dead things. Very good for clearing.
Make sure everything dies and then you win, right?
It's true.
If
Honestly, do you want to know my tried and true method? Go in with something that's got a lot of attack and a lot of health. Whatever. Go in with your most powerful bitch. And then set that bitch to aggressive. And then just walk around. Okay.
yeah, just get good mode.
Oh,
It's not get good as much as like Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls
no.
is like there's a lot of skill based stuff for that, but it's mostly just make POW strong.
Yeah. I'll show you. Hold on. Okay. You know what? Let's fucking see. Actually, let's fucking see. All right? 62. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna put you to the fucking test, Lucy. And I'm gonna take you to exactly where I told her to go. And we'll fucking see. Level 60 something. That's what we said, right? They're level 60. He's level 62. He should be able to handle this, right? If Lucy can handle it, you should feel no problem whatsoever. Okay. And it's gonna be right there. I don't know why I just don't fucking fly when I do this shit.
Strongest bitch is your Ragnarhawk.
Ragnarok's great.
I'm just thinking for
Also, okay, here we go. So these guys
yeah.
right here, level 45. Okay, so the guys in this one right here, level 45. It's gonna get you good shit still. It's not the best shit, but you're gonna get good shit still. Come on, Lucy.
I'm not disrespecting the Ragnarhawk. It's like I'm just trying to think of any good like fire AoEs that are for like fireballs and amazing skill. It is very strong, but it doesn't have the AoE potential as some of the other skill other powers.
Lucy, you're letting me catch on fire. Very rude. Oh, thank you. Lucy, you're letting me get hit by ice.
That's like a flame tornado. Yeah. I feel like every
I feel like the only reason I'm alive right now is because my health is so good. But I got a treasure map. I got the little book that gives you points.
Yes, the can give you books that give you tech points.
So if you need more points, you can do that. Excuse me, can you guys fucking move? I know, look, I wish I had someone trying to kill you guys up here, but apparently no. He doesn't know how to use stairs. Alright, can you kill this guy, please? Lucy, can you kill... Bitch, I am over here. Can you kill this guy, please, Lucy? I am trying to... Stop staring at him! What is wrong with you? Lucy, you're on aggressive. I literally... You're just vibing. You're just here for the vibes.
I'm fast-finding stuff.
Oh no! He's literally standing right there. This bitch is going to die. Look at him. He's just... Okay, alright, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a shame that Ragnarhawk weak to the final power boss.
Come on, Lucy. They're scared of you? Yeah, I can tell. Terrified. Absolutely petrified. I'm just gonna go get this chest.
If you have
The thing right now is I just need Lucy to have some basic fucking survivability. Okay? Kill the things in here and don't die. That's your goal.
if you have an electric pal, you can take them around to the different world bosses. And,
Lucy. How did you miss?
you can kill the world bosses with your Ragnarhawk, just for power level.
How are you missing? Wow, that was a lot of effort to kill that guy who was on 1 health. Lucy. Lucy, are you good, fam? Lucy.
Even if it's not the greatest electric power, you can still take it. If it's not great level-wise, you can still take it through.
It's like, it's cool. I'll just shove my head through the wall.
With your Ragnarhawk. World bosses seem to be like the best bet for leveling.
Okay.
Like really quickly.
So Lucy's goal has been don't die and kill everything. Okay. So far, he has not died. He's very low on health. But, you know, he hasn't died. It does look like he has killed everything, because I didn't kill anything. There you go. Good job, Lucy. You almost died, but you made it.
Just if you have an electric power that's just not high level, but you want to use it, just have it in your party and go and kill world bosses with your Ragnarok. Um, world bosses seem to be a really good way to level up because they give a lot of XP. And some world bosses give more XP than others, and it scales with level, obviously.
You know, running Lucy's kind of embarrassing. Look at him. Look at him the way he walks.
This is a beacon crystal.
What's he doing over there? Is he even good? Okay, Lucy, we're gonna go to the next fight now, okay? The one I directed her towards. We gotta go to the
If you've got a
west.
really strong Ragnarok, you can go around to and especially the grass or ice world bosses, your Ragnarok will just melt. Yeah, getting some type advantage can help with the tower bosses.
Mm-hmm. For example, like as much as uh, I love Ryuma, I couldn't bring him into any of the water fights with me. I did bring him into the Ori fight and he died really fast. But in my defense, I knew she was dragon. I did not know she was water.
Yeah. Also, look for synergies with your Pal passives. Some Pals might not be good as fighters, but they like off attack type damage. Like the Cremis buffs neutral damage. Cremis not good fighter, but Celestia good fighter. Celestia neutral.
What the fuck?
Cremis neutral damage. Makes Celestia.
Oh, I forgot he was on aggressive.
There's some for each element.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, some of the towers are misleading, okay? So, who else went to the volcano thinking it was going to be a fire boss?
Everyone that hasn't looked into it would imagine a volcano boss that is the boss of the Brothers of the Eternal Fire. It's electric.
Honestly, I kind of loved that though, because it just kind of like subverting expectations is one of my favorite things. Mm.
Subverting expectations or me? Which one's your more favorite?
Hmm?
I know it's going to be close.
You are subverting expectations? Oh.
Yeah, most favorite. It's going to be
So you have but one job. Kill everyone and survive.
okay. Boss fight as
Oh, Lucy died.
That's going to be fun to do all these boss fights.
Oh yeah, they are. I'm really excited about them.
Desert. You get a desert boss fight.
I'm taking a nap. Yeah, okay.
At least the boss on the mountain.
That's so weird. You're taking a nap in a pool of your own blood.
I love your name, Billy Pal.
And moving to the grooving, and just when it hit me, somebody. I don't know. I don't feel this. What is this? Come on. Like, does it actually fight decently? Or, I mean, I don't know what this does.
I love the military. This is a beautiful day.
I mean, I guess.
Guess what, huh?
He said that he would come back to life like Jesus.
True, yeah.
The Crow, the Ophidia, is like 4 to 8 levels higher than the rest of my team.
It figures very pretty. Oh, is that a...
Apparently
They're on
my
rampage.
Sibilux has a holy burst. Trying to find a freaking shrine, dude. Oh my god. Babe, the kids are fighting in chat again.
Oh my god. I'm betting on Nikki. That's my bet.
I mean,
Like,
if we're pitting,
Ismot Ryu
Cognito.
versus a Cognito, which is a dark type, you've already got type advantage, plus you're a much stronger pal overall.
But, actually, if you think about it, first of all, I think that, I think that, that Nikki is going to be lower level, potentially. And also, he has really shit stats. But I don't know. Hold on. Let me compare. Let me compare. Well, I would say let me compare, but I don't know any classes.
It could be a level difference. I mean, that's
No,
definitely...
no, no. I was just talking about the potentials.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Didn't Lucy have surprisingly bad defenses?
I mean, yeah, they're pretty shit too.
It's really funny about it. That is really funny.
Yeah, that that shouldn't have happened, but it did, so it is what it is. Yeah.
Oh, is the egg roulette off cooldown now? Should be close.
It says 2 hours ago, so I don't know.
2 hours? Okay. Still a little bit to go.
Oh, but it's updating. It says he did chibi mode 51 minutes ago. So it says that you told me you loved me 2 hours ago. So that's what I'm saying. Like it says 45 stream streak 2 hours ago. Mayo did the throw plushie at Aiko 2 hours ago. Care package 2 hours ago. Charlie jump scare 2 hours ago.
Yeah, a lot of things happened 2 hours ago. Well, within the hours of 2 and 3 hours ago.
Oh, yeah. Let's see if I want my babies.
He'll be taken to kill the monster of the world.
I don't know how that work is. That I mean, I guess I was getting ready to say I don't know how that boss fight's supposed to work, but I guess it's gonna work like the Pantherless fight, yeah.
Maybe.
What are we even fighting though? Like, what would we even be fighting?
Our own sense of satisfaction.
You my nerve. I love you. Let me see. I'll show you. I want to show you my babies, Mayo.
I think I'm showing pictures of my children, and while I do so, there's a battle to the death.
Have I shown Mayo my babies? Mayo, have I shown you
Have
my
you seen
babies?
the babies?
They're my babies, and I love them.
Even when they hate each other. Oh my god.
These are my babies.
They thrive on love.
Babies. They're all 100, 100, 100. And they all have, and keep in mind, you need to do this too.
If you want to get into like
Okay.
the raids.
Not necessarily 100, 100, 100. But one of the things that could help you out is have you been putting souls into them to boost up your pals? To boost up their stats? Because all of these have 60 souls. Okay. All of these are like maxed out souls. Actually, oh my god. So what am I gonna need to like awaken these fuckers? Lots of dark, I'm assuming.
I imagine, yeah.
Or maybe ground. Because they're ground type first, technically.
Or it could be either. I don't know how awakening works at all yet.
Me either.
I hopefully have enough. Be able to do something nice.
I don't think I do.
I'm just gonna tell you to stop making all that sort of light. Palazite, I can make 61 palazite.
Babe, we're gonna have to end when the timer is up.
Time is up?
When the timer is up, we're gonna have to end.
Because you're feeling tired, I'm feeling tired.
Yeah, basically, we got a late start to today because of like wanting to do the debut at a good time for everybody. And we need to sleep. Because right now is about the time we would be going to sleep. Well, I think we're going to sleep a lot earlier because the sun's out now.
Hang on.
One thing I'm going to do is probably...
We'll probably, when we get back to stream again, will just be whenever we wake up, right?
Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll set whatever time we wind up coming back. We'll set the 6 hours on the timer.
You know what's gonna be nice? Maybe.
What?
I think we don't get to do this often, but hang on. Oh, Pan isn't streaming. Okay.
You thought we were going to get to raid
I
pan.
thought we were gonna get to raid Pan, but I guess you're not streaming. Oh my god, I could raid this cutie called Aiko Heartblossom.
Ew, gross. That's a terrible name.
How much time do you have? Actually, I will look into your stream to see how much time we have left on the timer. I know I could ask you.
I don't know how to speak.
She doesn't know how
Or
to
read, yeah.
Oh, frame.
Yeah, there's some pretty bad frames right now. It's been a little...
Nice.
It's been a little, and by a little, I mean kind of a bit fucking framing since the restart. And it's been kind of like making me dizzy a little bit.
Same, yeah. I genuinely think it's because of the stuff and the things that happened with the full-on model. I'm gonna go back to my regular size and not chibi. Let me get a better cooling power. Probably have a better cooling power now. Yeah, the Bastigors. Maldron Christ,
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by the world tree because it's a lot more than I was expecting.
It's so much.
Like, I legitimately thought it was like...
Just like a resource grind area.
Not even... I didn't even realize it was that big. I don't know what I was expecting from the area. But I think I just thought, like, okay, there's going to be some wood and some new stone or whatever, but I was not expecting, like...
It's a full-on, like...
It's huge!
It's more content than Daybreak.
Yes. And it's got the corrosive areas, it's got, like, the different seasons, it's got... Oh, it's crazy.
And it's just, like...
It's got the 3 different bosses and then that final thing. It's got all these places I want to build, and I don't even know if I can build there. I don't think so.
No, you can't.
Did you try? Did you try, though, Tristan?
You don't have to try. Because I'm a Tristan, I know. All I see is people complain on Reddit about not being able to build in the World 3 because they want to. There's like the game prevents them from doing it. Okay, let me see with research. These are my murder birds. Not a bit confused with my murder bird. Higher the Ragnarok. They are slower than higher, but I'm not having. I love.
Are your murder birds cognito? I just want to know. I just also want to know what the too
I
close to a special boss or facility, can't build in this area. Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't
that's
know
what.
if this. I didn't know if the area like it would have a different error message, like something cooler, less dumb.
No, they are both Van Worm, one regular, one crystal. Ooh, that's a nice combo. Van Worm's nice. Let's
What beats
see.
dragon? Ice?
What beats Dragon Ice? Yes.
Oh, take Van Crest. That'd be awesome. And it
Van
can
Worm
fly, so
would
you're
be
not worried
useful.
about. So you don't have to worry about it drowning.
Yeah, Van Worm Chris would be super effective against uh
I wouldn't. I wouldn't take Crimson.
I forgot about Ice Power being able to do kill things. My brain is shutting up, so like
So is mine. You're taking Crystal with you. That's a good idea. So it's like I wasn't mentally prepared for all this stuff that's going to be happening with the World Tree.
but now we have time to do.
It's true, but it's like okay, so like I do need to organize my thoughts when it comes to it. I think I'll probably when I go to sleep, I'm going to sleep. Obviously, that wow. Okay, I'm very deep here.
I'm 15 and this is deep.
Okay, so I need a dedicated cooling pal for the workshop because my Walaska is what I thought was going to be temporary. Okay, I'm going to put him away now, specifically, so I don't forget. Okay, he's huge. I love him. He's massive. Okay.
Crystal Flurry, Murderfox, Snowdrop, Bleach Plant, Palladius, but not Necromus, and Sakura.
Which is an Ophidia. Um, I need to do that, and that will bring me some sense of peace here. I think ever since the Memogs came out, things have kind of taken a bit of a twist with me. Like things have stopped seeming as important, but I want them to be more important. Because I was like focused on the next project, the next project, the next project, right? Because I know that
Mm-hmm.
we've been talking about goals or end thingies, right? And like different challenges and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, okay, well, we're close to World Tree. We're called, meaning we're close to the end for me. Because for my brain, I'm thinking it's just resource gathering. You build up the recycler, you can get more resources, just extra resource. I didn't think there's this much content, actual content at the World Tree. Amazed, fabulous, fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm so glad for that. I really am, but I was unprepared for it. So I have, so
I know.
I had been shirking everything. I'd been shirking,
We could have gotten to the world pretty earlier and still been fine.
yes, exactly. So everything I was putting off, we were putting off going to the World Tree because I was thinking, well, once we get to the World Tree, our playthrough's over pretty much.
I was not expecting 4 bosses,
Yeah,
like boss fights.
yeah, exactly,
I was expecting one, and that be whatever the white dragon is in the wall.
exactly, exactly. And it's exactly the same. I completely agree. I thought it was going to be here. We threw some in game content. We have the world tree so you can explore it but there's not really anything beyond like the wood and stuff like that. I it's a lot and
Have so much left to do.
there's so much left to do.
And there's like we haven't even like a lot of it's gonna be a grind.
Here's the thing though. It's like
It's gonna be massive amounts of grind.
I know that there's going to be a bit of grind, a lot of grind. But now that I know that I'm going to be here for a minute, I just want to go back to breeding. I want to get a fucking ice pal for my workshop that's like not massive. I want to clean my shit back up. You know, because I feel like I've just been leaving shit on the floor because I'm just like, ah, what does it matter? Because the world's going to end soon anyways. You know, that's what I keep thinking. But now there's so much and I'm not mad about it. I feeling like I'm like I've wasted so much time.
The waste is not the right word. Everything we've done has progressed. It's just like we could have been progressing potentially faster.
Yeah.
Like
This
we
like
can
the thing is the reason there okay, listen, Tristan, listen to me. Okay. You already know how I felt about the last playthrough.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. About how I did not like how the progression went. I felt like it could have been different. And that's why we wound up restarting, is because I was like, well, I didn't like that we did this on 3 times. I felt like we could have done this better. I felt like we could have done this better. I felt like we could have been in a better place if we'd done this. And we go in better knowledge, and what? We come out faster. We come out stronger. Yeah? And that's kind of where my brain was going. And now my brain's here because I'm like, oh my God, there's still so much. If I had known this, I would have done this differently. I would have done this differently. I would have done this
Mm-hmm.
differently.
And now we're getting to the point where it's like we could just restart and go faster.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at right now. And I'm like, I shouldn't do that because I fucking will. I fucking will. Now that we're there, I feel like I could start over right now and do everything better.
I think what we do, it's okay to not know things. Yes, we love not knowing things. It's just when we get to new knowledge, it's like, oh,
Then
if
it's
this
overwhelming.
different, and this different, and this different, we
Yeah.
can do everything
I would
better.
have prepared a better, I would have prepared better.
Mm-hmm. But it's at the point where it's like, if we prepare different, but if we do different,
Because how much time have we spent on trying to work on raid bosses when that should not have been the focus at the moment?
raid bosses was good, but we're trying to get to the point of
Like, we were focused on the idea of doing ultra raid bosses because we thought that was the next big thing.
whereas we should have been focusing on world tree,
Yeah.
which then would have gotten us like the ancient hatchery and all the world tree stuff.
Which would have put us in a better location or put us in a better position for doing the breeding for ultra bosses.
Yeah, and then we also get access to the ancient relic recycler, which then gets us the twin
Even
plant
more.
ship, so there's less breeding for passive.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think what we do is we see this playthrough to the completing the story
So to the dragon.
to the dragon,
Okay.
and then we discuss it again.
Okay.
Yeah, we can still get to the better position. It's just we didn't do it as efficiently as we could have now that we have the knowledge.
It is a thing, and I don't know how to describe the thing. Okay, let's put it this way. And this is what I've explained this to Tristan before, okay, about when I played Ark. When I played Ark, I had so many hours in it because I would start a world and then I would get to the point where I'm like, I have to start this world over because, like, although I could continue, I need to, like, I can do it better. I can do it better.
Like,
I can, it's just,
say we got like
I don't know
a
how to
lot
describe,
of different.
I don't know how to describe, I can do it better. I don't know how to just, like, I don't know, unless, I don't, it's just a feeling. It's a
We
feeling.
know we can do better, so we want to like have that quote unquote perfect playthrough.
It's like a perfect playthrough where it's like, I haven't really. It is so. I do that with all my games, and it's a terrible habit. It is a terrible habit. It is. But it's also, I don't know, like, okay, so I have spent a long time breeding things, right? But then, so we'll get the ancient hatchery. If we continue with this one, we then get the ancient hatchery, right? And what? All that work that I've done with my pals, fucking thrown to the wind. Also, I would have fucking started disassembling pals earlier,
Uh-huh, yeah.
started collecting more souls that way. Started that shit fucking
Um,
early.
my love,
Yeah.
I have found out something that is going to make the grind in the world tree even longer.
Ah, shit.
I built an ancient relic recycler. You need holy water to recycle. You can't even recycle without holy water. Psycho might have mentioned that. I'm not sure.
This is another thing. Here's what I mean. Okay. If we do all the things, here's what happens. It's not a waste of effort, it's just different effort. I'm going to tell you exactly what it
Yeah.
is, though. Here's what I'm going to tell you what happens, though. Okay? Because now there's not spreading out. We can't now, because we've done things, we can't multitask. There's no multitasking at this point, right? So,
Oh
like,
no, we're not gonna burn ourselves out.
while we're like, if we burn ourselves out, no, if we continue with this, we will burn ourselves out, and
Maybe.
that's I could see it happening because you said there's going to be a lot of grinding in the world tree, yeah.
There's a lot of grind in the world
So what are
tree.
we going to do when we're not? What are we going to do when we get tired of grinding at the world tree to take a break?
Uh, it's
We
basically
already
we're at
did
the
it.
point of just going for the bosses, the end bosses,
Yeah.
seeing what that is, and then restarting.
No, no, that's just it. Is it? It won't take longer to get back.
I mean, it'll take longer to get back, but
Yeah,
like
technically.
because we'll be starting again, yes, and we wouldn't be bringing pals other than community pals. But it won't take longer to get back because we would be well, like it won't take longer than this playthrough.
Yeah.
We will get places faster than we did in this playthrough.
It's basically like using what you learned to do. I don't know. Just all like I feel like I keep saying to do better, to do better, to get better the next time, to get better the next time.
Yeah, like literally, we spent weeks breeding
Yeah.
raid pals.
Yeah. We wouldn't need to do that.
Don't touch that. Like
Don't touch
we
it.
wouldn't touch that.
We
We'll
wouldn't touch
go
it.
free first.
Yeah.
Breed for world free pals. Stuff
Vote
like
for
that.
breed for World Tree Pals, and then we'll get the ancient hatchery, and that's gonna make the breeding like a snap, like fucking
I
nothing.
don't feel the need to restart until we've beaten the bosses to see like what we need. It's more just like
Yeah, if you need to feel the need to restart, then I can unfortunately get this with my entire soul. No, I know. I know.
it's not necessarily restart. It's completing a normal playthrough,
Yeah.
and then the next playthrough will be like the 100% playthrough.
The thing is like, with Animal Crossing Forever Worlds, Forever Islands, and you feel like every island's gonna be your fucking forever island, but then things happen and you just don't feel like it's perfect. You want your forever island to be perfect.
The early game's a completely different feel than the late game in the Palworld and Animal Crossing. It's just like two completely different games.
Yeah. And the thing is like I don't necessarily feel like any world that we have made, even if we perfect a world, it's not going to be our forever world. in this game because we have so many other worlds we want to make. However, I want to have a perfect run save file. You know what I mean?
What exactly is a perfect? Well, I did not mean to that one. What exactly is a perfect run in this game?
We have done all the bosses and raids and ultra raids and beaten them all.
Yeah, yeah. But we could do that with this one, but it's like we can get there faster, and then it also gives more Palworld content for everyone.
Yeah,
We love this game.
we love
We
this
want to play this
game.
game a ton. We are gonna play this game a ton.
Yeah. I don't mind restarting this game because it's like, then I get to build more shit. And
To build more.
honestly, you want to hear something? That build that I built on the island with the breeding things, I want that. I want that because, like,
The one we made for Pan server.
yeah.
Maybe that's what we wait for.
No. Wait, what do you mean?
But, well, we got Pan server to like fully restart and like do certain things.
It's definitely different. It's not my ideal for our world, babe. It's different. That's how we're playing it
Yeah,
different.
it's gonna be different.
But I want this breeding stuff.
But like we've got other things to do for the Subathon.
I don't even necessarily want this right here on. I don't necessarily want like this right here. I want on Pan's world, but I don't want this. I want this right here somewhere else.
Yeah, so you want our world, and then in the Pan's thing, you want that to just be like an adjacent playthrough.
No, yeah, because this right here, this island will be mine and your island, right? Whereas when we're playing together, we have more pals at bases, we have more bases available to us and stuff like that, so we can have our separate stuff, you know, and keep stuff together, kind of like we're doing now, you know? But also, like, I like these buildings because I want this. I like the setup for it. I want all four of them together in a big large spot and just like I want to build this. But
I
like
still need to figure out like the workshop place.
yeah, I want to build this like
Use the wrong yaw during the motivation. Oh my god, it's end of the world.
you want to make sure my sure? No, I know.
You want to make sure you're sure.
The thing is,
This isn't like negative pronoun stuff. This
no,
is
no, no.
basically like
This is this is I can do it better. I like being prepared. I like knowing what's coming and I like being prepared. It feels like okay. It feels
it's
like I've
personal sense of fulfillment and achievement.
okay. So one of the things I did already that I hate that I did. Okay? Are you ready for this shit? I started breeding a Blazemat Ryu army. I have so many fucking Blazemat Ryus. Do you know what I'm going to use them for? Nothing. Also, Tristan, I wish. Look, come here, come here. I'm gonna use.
Hmm?
Come here in real life so you can see this. Look how cool this looks. Looks a little better than I expected it to. Yeah. Anyways, like I've got a shit ton of Blazemat Ryus. What the fuck am I doing? No, it's not negative burnout. Fuck, we love this game.
This is positive.
This is positive fucking burnout. This isn't
positive.
positive. It's not even burnout. It's like what would be like the most mildest burnout. It's more like I feel like if I continue with this world, this is what I'm saying right now. I don't know if it's just me fucking tired, right?
It's sort of like a. It's not the same as speedrunning, but it's sort of like a speedrunner.
Saying I can do it faster next time.
I can do it faster. This is mental prep to like.
Yeah.
How can we improve the next one?
Yeah, because like, who are you?
Legendary materials merchant.
Oh, I've already got him.
My bodyguard.
It's fine. I already got him. Okay, so all these guys right here, I can get them sooner. I can start getting the souls sooner. I don't need to waste my time with breeding up all of these duelith Nox if the only thing that I'm fighting to get extra life stuff is the fucking Moon Lord. He's not hard. And I can
Moonlord is
save
so
these.
easy.
I could save these for after I get the ancient hatchery. And you know what?
Yeah.
They're gonna get there in fucking no time. Why? Because I'm already gonna have these grinding up. These are gonna be grinding up right already. The Adragons are gonna be fucking grinding up.
I love
So I'll be
having
able
a
to get the
super
souls
Moonlord.
and what?
Can I? I want to murder them all.
Yeah. This world means nothing to me anymore. Everything is trash.
It won't let me get off the mount, so we actually killed them. Okay, they're all dying now.
Good job.
Yippee! Oh my god, I'm getting chased by the beast. I'm 2 stars. It's not necessarily trash. It's like
No, I know, I know.
more like we have achieved our goals.
Our goals were to make it to the world tree
Make
and
it
to explore the world tree, which is what we thought the end was.
And now we know that
We thought the
on
awakening,
the boss.
we thought the awakening was for ultra raid bosses.
Which Awakening is for ultra raid bosses, but it's like
Yeah, but now there's so much more. There's so much more. I could start gathering resources earlier. I can take time and I can go and I could spend a day just grinding fucking world tree stuff.
and we
And
can do it
then,
on times.
huh?
And we can do it on 1 times.
And we can do it on 1 times and have such more satisfaction. Oh, see, that'll be so nice. It'll be so much slower getting there, but it's gonna be so nice because I'm gonna be able to take my time and prepare
We
things
might
right.
actually be able to get gear that's around our level,
Oh my
rather
God.
than like not being worth upgrading gear because we're already like to the
See,
next.
that's another thing too, is like people might look at it and be like, wow, you say you think you can do it better, but look how strong you are. It's like, we got here so fast. There's no sense of satisfaction. That I already was having a really hard time with this world once I found out.
Yeah.
Once I found out that we'd done the entire thing on 3 times again. It broke my fucking heart. Broke my heart. Because like I felt the sense of that satisfaction because it was like, and now it's like every single time I look at somebody else's world and they're sitting there playing and they're behind. What I consider to be behind is because it's like, no fucking wonder I feel like they're behind is because they're on fucking 1 time speed. We sped run it. We got to the fucking. We didn't have to do nothing for this shit.
To be fair, it wasn't our fault.
It wasn't our fault.
It was a Nitrado server config thing.
Yeah, but like that
I
doesn't.
don't think it's necessarily Nitrado itself. It could just be
It
the
was
dedicated
just it's something. Yeah, it's just something we didn't know. It was just because there's a. If you're uploading a dedicated save, consider it a final boss.
If you're uploading a single player save. Yeah. We're gonna get to the final boss once.
But I'm not gonna say we're not gonna rush that shit.
We're probably
We're not
going
going.
to rush the final boss
We're not.
next.
Yeah, we're not. It's gonna be the exact same way we did the world tree last time. We rushed to the world tree. We didn't do anything past then. And we didn't do it optimized. We literally went in, ran in, did it. We didn't even do the final boss. We didn't even do the final tower. Our final tower run was this time. Or first
Yeah.
this was the first time we ever beat it.
We beat Pantherless before we touched the final tower. We got up to the final tower. We cleared everything. After Pantherless.
Like I fully expect to try and get to the final boss and us to lose like half our pals. And I'd be okay with that because I'm like, I don't want to go in and like things be fucking perfect. I just want to rush it, do it, be like, okay, I'm prepared for this now.
I still refuse to butcher pals with a meat cleaver.
I also refuse to butcher pals with a meat cleaver. I'm not doing that. I will go and I will get the thing that I need, but now, you know, another thing I can do is get a head start on breeding rep heroes for the mining expeditions.
Yes. You know how useful they are. Even just a regular rep hero, which we get that at the volcano, which is
Still a really big boost.
I don't mind the disassembly conveyor because it's like a
It doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't feel
of
like anything. No, no, no. Look, look, look. Let me show you. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like so you can see.
refuse to capture humans. Well, are they humans if they go in a sphere?
No.
It's just pals with a different skin.
Okay, now listen to this. I want you to see these pals right here. Very specifically, the Adrigons. Okay? You see those? You see how they look? Yeah? You don't see their faces. I'm going to show you. You do not see their faces.
Why giving them a choice? They're going on the conveyor and they're choosing not to get off.
It's not like the others. Look, it's like this. It's very clean. It doesn't, they don't even look like pals. They just look like robots.
It's perfectly fine though if you don't feel good about it. 100%, I get that.
How dare you not want to murder things?
There's people
What's
who
chicken in here?
don't want
Oh,
to.
see, this is horrible. I can't do that.
Did you butcher something with a meat cleaver?
No.
What do you do?
I just don't like to see their face when they go through there, you know. I put a frost plume in there, and it was laying there comfortably. I hated it. That I didn't like.
Yeah,
That's fine.
totally fair.
These guys are fine. These guys are. I don't know. For some reason, these are. It's the difference between a kitten and a cow.
I'll eat a kitten.
I'm not gonna eat a kitten, but I'll eat a cow. You know what I mean?
A whole cow.
Yes.
In one gulp.
Yes. Exactly.
Anyway, we have run out of time.
Yeah. We're gonna go to bed.
How long? It's probably gone past the 3 hour thing.
Yeah.
Has it?
Oh yeah. Maya, do you want to go ahead and do it? You want to do your thing? Mayo. Mayo.
It is optional actually. The Pell condenser is optional.
You don't have to use it.
You can just grind out dog coins. You can grind out
This is out of stock.
like right on the 3 hour thing.
All right, I will go ahead and do it, but I'm gonna need you to redeem it whenever you can. Okay. First off, this is.
We know you.
We know you're good for it. What is that?
Um.
Oh my god. That one egg that you said, oh look, it's a dark egg. It was a fucking Celine.
Oh wow. Yeah. So. I am moving.
No, that's not you. Alright, well, are you sure about this? You sure about this, Mayo?
Panda
There's
will
no
die.
taking it back.
Panda will permanently die. But yeah, you can just get the so the bounty, you can do the bounties, get bounty hunter tickets.
Yep.
Um,
Scrapped tissue sample?
what?
Excuse me?
Where'd you get that from? Deleting a
Pulverized remnants of some kind of biological tissue, leftover residue from butchering a genetically reconstructed pal. It serves no purpose and can only be sold or discarded.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's literally just you were useless in this world. Sell this junk.
Well, hold on. I now want to see, like, how does that affect, what's that affect on the global PAL box? Because I think that might be why.
It's like marking as permanently gone.
I don't know. That's why I want to go find out. Because I need to make sure, I say I need to make sure it's gone. I do need to make sure it's gone. But obviously it does make sense. How would I?
You can grind out dog coins for star fruits. You can grind out
1%? Okay. You spent it, just change mount. Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
12 units.
Fine. Okay, let's see. Where did I put? Oh, it's upstairs.
Yeah, you can buy the star fruits from the dog coin guy. You can buy the any star fruit, like any level star fruit, for 50 bounty tokens.
Current world
Which is
settings
like
for bid reconstructing pals from
star level.
Current world settings for bid reconstructing pals from global pal box. Wow,
I
had no idea that we restricted ourselves.
oh no, Jesse,
Oh,
you're
juice for
not
deletion.
you're illegal. Um, does the other one also? The arena? Let me check the arena guy. The arena, or you might be able to get star fruit for arena tokens.
So confused. Oh, okay. Delete.
It becomes a lot harder if you
Okay, she's gone. She's gone. I deleted her.
yeah, it just becomes a lot more of a specific kind of grind.
I'm gonna be doing some research. Not
I
now.
cannot
Before
get
next week.
star fruit from the arena guy, so he's completely useless for star fruit. Although he does give the life fruits, but that's also not necessarily useful.
Alright. Shall be missed. Yep. One or two, Mayo. One or two. One. Ooh. One. Okay. Now, which row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Give me a row and column. Is there a row with no verdant eggs? Yes. Row 4. And row 7.
4.
Oh, I lied. Row 4 has 1 at the end.
Row 7 has none.
We have 2 dragon eggs, which are probably picked up together. A large scorching egg and a damp egg. You can literally just pick any egg. Is there an egg in here that you want? Is there an egg that's calling to you?
That's just basically what the row and column thing is. It's like, yeah, what? One of the 2 dragon eggs?
Yeah, do that. Machine, what Maya will become.
Curious which one they are. I don't remember when we picked those ones up.
I don't either. That'd be so funny. Just everybody's blazing at Ryu today.
What if it's another place? That would just be funny. It'd be my
I'd be like, what the fuck? I don't actually think that is. I think I do remember picking that up briefly, but...
Yeah, I don't think that one would be... It would be really funny because somehow we got a Blazing Ryu egg from somewhere.
Again.
That went into that one. If anything, it would be in the other chest. Sleep yet?
I don't know what's happening.
It would be. We've encountered a bug where all of our dragons.
Ah, fuck.
Back?
Shit.
Oh, you have an arrow.
It's always fucking... It's photo mode that's doing it. Photo mode is what derps it out. I just want to enter photo mode without it derping out my eggs. Is the world dissolving? No, it's just... Photo mode starts to reload it in a new weird way.
Let me check.
Can be beneficial, like if you know you got some pals stuck under the floor or something.
ask what I'm doing. I mean, you can ask.
What you doing?
I have sorted by babysitter.
Oh.
These all have babysitter.
Oh my lord.
Everything I'm putting in has babysitter. Like everything.
Holy fuck.
How fast is that going?
7, 15, 12, 9, 7, 4, 1, 6, 55, 4, 50, 42, 30, 21, 15, 2,
Numbers. What do the
50,
numbers mean? Mason, what do the numbers mean?
30, 20. Yeah, this is the fastest time has ever passed for me.
Yeah. Laser marks on my Agadron. Laser mark? Babysitter's on my Agadron. As well as, you know, their butchering passives.
Tristan is a babysitter butcher.
Yeah, I butcher all the babysitters. That's why they get paid so little. They're just going in the meat grinder.
Babysitters actually get paid pretty damn well.
There is a form of babysitter that doesn't get paid at all.
A mom.
No.
Dad.
Grandparent.
Ah.
Grandparents are the most common non-paid form of childcare.
Interesting. Yeah, you're not wrong. 15, 10, 7, 5, 4, 2, 1. Alright, Mayo. You're no fidget aqua.
Oh! Ooh!
So pretty.
Aqua! Oh!
Mayo, with your fidget aqua. Mayo, yeah. I'm just gonna put Mayo. Meow. And you're a reload master. Look at you.
Lucifer
You
redeemed
are
Zoe
pretty.
voice. Oh my god. Alphidron Aqua. Ooh!
That's funny. That's super funny. Super funny. Tristan, he redeemed that voice for you, babe. Good.
Hmm?
He redeemed that voice for you, obviously. You're pretty in blue, yes you are. I'm gonna have you work at my base. I guess not really, not right now. You're currently too low level. I don't trust you to do stuff here.
Bigger ponytail take less fire damage or immune to burn.
Damn it.
And it's good. I mean, it's like a early-ish saddle for a flying.
Well, you said you didn't want to do anything. You said you specifically wanted to do the least amount of work.
32 is when you get the saddle for that one. That's actually gonna be.
You have Fedrin Aqua?
Yeah, you get it at 32. It's gonna help with any fire thing. Okay at watering.
Yeah.
Okay at lumbering. But at the same time, not good enough to warrant yeah, you I'm very loyal, never consider falling of me. Welcome. Yeah, genuinely.
That was the old me.
You telling me. Hang around and chill.
Where you going? Where you going? Oh, you're watering? You're gonna go water some plants?
Yeah, I am happy to end when
Honestly, tell me this bitch isn't Mayo coded for sure. This is absolutely Mayo.
Very no one else is an elf if you're an aqua as well, I don't think. No,
Anthony
wait.
is. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Oh my god. It definitely looks a lot more like Mayo than Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, I think would look good as like a puffle.
Yeah. Oh my god. Absolutely, though. Okay, we are gonna go ahead and end the stream. Find somebody to read out to, because I don't want to waste.
We will be back tomorrow with 6 hours on the timer
I'm
for.
not gonna tell you guys what time we're gonna be back tomorrow.
Yeah,
We'll be
yeah.
back
We will be
tomorrow.
live at whatever time we wake up and feel like going
It
live.
really is gonna be like that though, for a while.
We probably will start with something that's not Palworld.
Yeah, I'm going to put these down there
Um,
so you guys can copy these while we while we
it
find
depends on how many
somebody to
people we
read.
have there.
Oh my god, there's music.
I need to. I don't really have enough people to raid. You kept playing in
All right, I'm
Palworld.
gonna read out to the baker. The baker. She's sweetie, so we can read out to her.
It is, sweetie.
Nice.
I don't have the people to raid, but I will
That's really fine.
join
I'll
you
join you. Thank you, thank you.
to be supportive in your one. I will be ending my stream here. Thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you
Oh
everyone.
my gosh, you
I'll let you
are
go.